They told me to cook. Then they told me to disappear. I stayed silent that night. But secrets never stay hidden. What my son's wife didn't know was that Christmas carried my legacy. And before the evening ended, the truth turned her world upside down. I am Margaret Rose Sullivan, 68 years old, widow, mother of one son, Cedar Falls, Iowa. That is my home. Snow drifting in December winds, church bells echoing across town, windows glowing with Christmas lights. For me, Christmas has always been everything. Not gifts, not fancy dinners, but family. Always family. For 40 years, I was a wife and mother. Every December, our house smelled like gingerbread, cinnamon rolls cooling on the counter, a 20-pound turkey roasting all day. My husband Charles would string lights on the roof. Our son David hung ornaments halfway up the tree, and I placed the angel on top. That angel belonged to my mother. She gave it to me when I married. "Keep tradition alive, Maggie," she said. And I did. Year after year. Then 3 years ago, everything changed. Charles passed away. Suddenly, quietly, leaving me with silence. The laughter was gone. The house felt too big. The nights too long. But David remained. My only son. My reason to keep going. David grew. From a boy chasing snowflakes to a man building his own life. He studied hard, worked harder, made me proud. Last year, he married Jessica. Young, beautiful, smart, full of ambition. I tried to welcome her. I smiled. I complimented her dresses. I asked about her work. But deep inside, I felt her distance. The cool glances, the polite nods, the way she kept conversation short. Still, I hoped. For David's sake, I hoped. Now Christmas had returned. My third without Charles. My first with Jessica truly part of the family. The snow began to fall thick. The church down the road practiced carols. Neighbors lit their porches. And I dreamed of warmth again. Of filling the table. Of hearing laughter bounce off these old walls. That afternoon, Mrs. Eleanor Patterson stopped by. My neighbor for 20 years. A friend through every season. She carried a plate of cookies. "Christmas won't be Christmas without your house, Maggie," she said. "Will David bring the family here this year?" I smiled, though my chest ached. "I hope so. Jessica loves entertaining. Maybe she'll want it at their home." Mrs. Patterson squeezed my hand. "You deserve joy this Christmas. Tradition belongs here. With you." Her words lingered. A seed planted. That night, I pulled out the old Lenox china, cream with gold trim. Saved for holidays only. I opened the box of ornaments. Faded glass balls. Hand-painted stars. David's kindergarten craft still tied with yarn. I traced each one, feeling the years slip by. Memories filled the room. Charles laughing when the tree toppled once. David begging for hot cocoa before bed. Tears welled, but so did hope. Christmas is not about perfection. It is about presence. About the people we hold close. And I told myself this year will be better. This year will bring us together. This year I will not be alone. When the phone rang, my heart leapt. David's voice. "Mom," he said warmly. "Jessica and I, we want to host Christmas at your house. Friends, coworkers, family. It'll be big. Are you okay with that?" I gripped the receiver tight. "Yes, of course." "That sounds wonderful, David." After we hung up, I pressed my hand to my chest. Excitement bloomed. The house would be alive again. The table full again. I imagined the scent of turkey, the sparkle of lights, Jessica smiling at me with gratitude, maybe even affection. Perhaps finally, I could be more than just David's mom. Perhaps Jessica would see me as family too. I went to bed early. The snow thick outside. The house creaked in the cold. But inside my heart, warmth spread. Hope flickered bright. For the first time in years, I whispered into the night, "Charles, this Christmas, we will be whole again." The first week of December, snow fell heavier. The streets lined with lights. Every house glowing. I began planning early. Lists written on yellow notepads. Turkey, stuffing, pumpkin pie, apple pie, pecan pie, side dishes too. Sweet potato casserole, green bean almondine, cranberry sauce, and at least 12 kinds of cookies. My kitchen would be full. The house alive again. That thought alone kept me smiling. 2 nights later, the phone rang again. David's voice softer this time. "Mom," he said, "Jessica is a little nervous about Christmas. She wants everything perfect. You know how she is." I laughed gently. "I understand, honey. We'll make it beautiful." There was a pause, longer than usual. "Mom," he continued, "Jessica may call you. She has some ideas." I frowned, but I agreed. "All right, David. I'll listen." The next afternoon, my phone buzzed. A message from Jessica. Her words neat, polite on the surface, but sharp underneath. "Mrs. Sullivan, we appreciate you hosting, but most of my guests are young professionals. I'd like the evening modern stylish. Please prepare the food. But once guests arrive, it's best if you rest upstairs. I'll tell them you're unwell. That way, everything stays polished." I read it twice, 3 times. My chest tightened. Embarrassing. That's what she meant. I was embarrassing. I sat at the kitchen table, the list before me. Blurry now. My hands trembled. After 40 years of Christmas dinners, after decades of keeping traditions alive, now I was good only for cooking. Invisible once the party began. Tears stung my eyes. I whispered, "Am I really so out of place?" That evening, David came by. Snow clung to his coat. His cheeks red from cold. I wanted to ask. I wanted to shout. But my voice stayed soft. "David," I said, "Jessica wrote to me." He shifted uncomfortably, pulled off his gloves, looked at the floor. She didn't mean it harshly. She worries about appearances. Her coworkers are sophisticated. She feels pressure. I searched his face. "Do you agree with her?" His eyes darted away. "I want peace, Mom. Just this once. Please." The words struck deep. My son, my only son, choosing silence. That night, I sat by the window. Snow piling high outside. Christmas lights blinking faintly. Inside, my heart cracked. I thought of Charles. How he would have fought for me. How he would have never allowed this. But he was gone. And David was here. Yet somehow farther than ever. Still, I told myself, do it for David. Endure it for him. If he is happy, I will bear the pain. I folded Jessica's message, slid it into a drawer. But its weight pressed heavy. The next morning, I forced a smile. Went to the market. Picked the best turkey, 20 pounds exact. Bought pecans, fresh cranberries, brown sugar. Neighbors greeted me kindly. Big Christmas this year, Margaret. I nodded faintly. Yes, yes. My family is coming. The words tasted bittersweet. Mrs. Patterson saw me. She stopped by the bakery aisle. Her eyes kind. Maggie, you don't look well. Is everything all right? I hesitated, smiled quickly. Just busy. So much to do. She touched my arm. Don't let them push you aside. You are the heart of Christmas here. Her words nearly broke me, but I only nodded. That night, I unpacked groceries, stacked pies on the counter, hung wreaths on the windows, but the joy felt dim. Not the same. The house bright yet my spirit dull. Christmas was coming, but not for me, for them. And I wondered, would anyone notice if I disappeared? I woke before dawn, the house still dark. The clock read 30 a.m. I pulled on my robe, tied it tight. The kitchen floor cold underfoot. I lit the oven. The old gas stove hissed. Warmth spread slowly. Today was for cooking, for tradition, for memory. Even if I would not sit at the table, even if I would not be seen. The turkey waited in the sink. 20 pounds. Heavy, cold, solid. I rinsed it carefully. Stuffed it with bread cubes, sage onions, butter melting between my fingers. The smell rose instantly. It smelled like my childhood. It smelled like every Christmas past. I whispered to myself, for you, Charles. For you, David. Next came the pies. Pumpkin first. Cans of puree brown sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg. I whisked eggs into cream. Poured the filling. The crust golden edges crimped by hand. Then pecan. Shelled halves glistening. Dark syrup bubbling. And apple. Tart Granny Smith's, sliced thin, tossed with sugar and spice, laid in careful rows. I baked each one, lined them across the counter. 3 pies like 3 decades of tradition. By noon, sweet potatoes boiled. Green beans snapped. Cranberries popped in sugar. I hummed quietly. A carol I once sang with David. Silent night, holy night. But the silence here was too heavy. I paused often, stared at the empty doorway, imagined Charles walking in, David laughing behind him. The kitchen once full, now just me. I wiped tears quickly, focused on the cookies. 12 kinds just as always. Sugar cookies shaped like stars. Gingerbread men. Thumbprints filled with jam. Snowballs dusted in powdered sugar. My hands remembered every recipe. The rolling, the cutting, the baking sheet sliding in. By afternoon, the counters overflowed. Stacks of tins, rows of cooling racks. It looked like joy, but felt like ache. Between batches, I opened boxes of ornaments. The same fragile glass balls. The same handmade ones. I hung each one on the tree. Red, gold, blue. The angel last. High on the top. I whispered again. For you, Mom. For you, Charles. The lights blinked softly. The room glowed. But deep down, I feared Jessica would replace it all. Evening came. I set the table. Lenox china gleamed, cream with gold trim, crystal glasses polished, silverware aligned perfectly. I spread a lace cloth, folded napkins by hand, placed candles in the center. It was beautiful. It was tradition. And I knew it would not last. Jessica would bring her own. Modern, minimalist, cold. Still, I said it anyway, because this house still remembered me. The clock struck 9. My body ached, my back stiff. But I looked around, food prepared, tree shining, table glowing. I should have felt proud. Instead, I felt invisible. Like a stagehand, not a mother, not a hostess. Just labor. I made tea, sat in my wicker chair, watched snow fall outside. The town glowed, neighbors laughing, music drifting faintly. I thought of Mrs. Patterson. Her words replayed. You are the heart of Christmas. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe my presence still mattered. But the message in my drawer said otherwise. Jessica's voice echoed in my head. Cook everything, then disappear. The tea grew cold, the house too quiet. I pressed a hand to my chest, closed my eyes. Charles, I whispered, tell me what to do. Tell me how to survive this. But the only answer was silence, and the steady tick of the kitchen clock. Tomorrow they would come. Jessica with her decorations, David with his silence. Tomorrow my work would be erased. But tonight for a few hours the house still belonged to me. Still carried my touch. Still whispered my name. And I clung to that. Even if no one else would. Christmas Eve arrived. Snow piled along the driveway. Icicles hung from the roof. Inside my house glowed. Tree shining. Table ready. Food prepared. I stood in the kitchen doorway, breathing in spices. Butter. Cinnamon. Roast turkey filling the air. It smelled like Christmas. It smelled like home. By noon, headlights flashed. A car pulled in. David and Jessica stepped out. David waved quickly. Jessica lifted a large box. 2 more bags in hand. They entered briskly, snowflakes still clinging to their coats. Mom, David said, his smile brief. House looks great. Jessica scanned the room, eyes sharp, cold. She set down the box, pulled out silver ornaments, white garlands, minimalist decorations. Her voice clipped. Mom, this will look much cleaner, more modern. Guests expect a certain style. I froze, looked at the tree, the angel on top, the glass balls, hand-painted stars, David's school ornament. Jessica frowned. These are dated. We'll put them in storage. My throat tightened. I whispered. These belonged to my mother. They've been here for decades. Jessica's tone softened, but not her words. I understand. But tonight isn't about nostalgia. It's about presentation. She began removing them, one by one, placing them in a box. I watched each memory fall. Each year erased. My hands shook. David shifted. His eyes met mine, then dropped quickly. Mom, maybe just this year. Let Jessica handle it. My chest ached. I wanted to scream, but I only nodded. Silent. I gathered the ornaments, placed them gently in cartons, as if packing away pieces of my life. Jessica spread white garland, hung silver ornaments, placed a sleek star on top. The tree gleamed, but cold, lifeless. A catalog picture, not a memory. The table came next. She removed my lace cloth, folded it without care, replaced it with black runner. Tall glass vases, no candles. I stared. It felt less like Christmas, more like a showroom. David carried boxes upstairs, avoiding my gaze. I whispered, "David, these were our traditions." He sighed. "Mom, please don't make this harder. Jessica just wants things right. Right for who the words slipped out." He didn't answer. He just turned away. I walked into the kitchen, my pies cooling, cookies stacked high. Jessica followed. Her heels clicked. "Food smells wonderful," she said. "But presentation matters. We'll plate them differently. Simpler, more refined." She lifted my Lenox china, placed them back in the cabinet, pulled out white square plates. "This looks better for photos." I swallowed hard. My voice cracked. These plates belong to my mother-in-law. We use them every Christmas. Jessica smiled thin. Guests don't care about history. They care about aesthetics. I bit my lip, nodded once, turned away. By evening, the house no longer looked mine. Silver tree, black runner, modern plates. Everything polished, everything cold. The warmth erased. The memories boxed away. I walked room to room, like a stranger in my own house. Every corner foreign, every touch unfamiliar. In the living room, Jessica arranged candles. David tested the speakers. Jazz filled the air. I sat in my wicker chair, hands folded tight, watching. David avoided my eyes. Jessica never noticed me. I whispered softly. To be unseen hurts more than words. The night pressed on. Snow still fell outside. The clock ticked louder. Christmas was coming, but not mine. Not the Christmas I knew. And I wondered, was I even part of it anymore? The clock struck 4. Candles unlit. Music low. Food warm in the oven. The house looked ready. At least to them. Not to me. I stood by the counter, wiping flour from my apron. My hands tired. My back stiff. Jessica walked in, her heels sharp against tile. Her voice low, polite on the surface, hard underneath. "Mrs. Sullivan," she began, "everything smells wonderful. Thank you for your work." I nodded, silent. Then her tone changed. Calm, final. "Before guests arrive, please go upstairs. You need to rest. We'll tell them you're unwell." My chest froze. I searched her face. She didn't flinch. Not a hint of doubt. I whispered, "You don't want me here." Her smile stayed thin. Tonight must be seamless. Young professionals. No confusion. Please understand. The words cut deep. Erase yourself. That's what she meant. David entered then. His eyes flicked between us. He heard enough. "Mom," he said gently, "maybe it's best. Just this once. You've done so much already." I stared at him. My only son. The boy I raised alone. The man I believed in. He lowered his gaze. Couldn't look at me. My throat burned. I whispered again. "David, do you really agree?" He rubbed his neck. Avoided my eyes. "It's easier this way. Please, Mom, don't make this harder." Silence filled the kitchen. Only the oven hummed. Only the clock ticked. I pressed my hand against the counter. The cool granite anchored me. But inside, I shattered. I remembered years before. David's small hands rolling cookie dough. His laughter echoing. His voice begging just one more story, Mom. Now he stood tall. Silent. Choosing her over me. The boy I loved was gone. Jessica stepped closer, her perfume strong, her words quiet. We'll handle the rest. Your room is upstairs. Take your tea. Rest. No one needs to know. No one needs to know that I existed, that I cooked, that I belonged. Tears blurred my vision. I turned away, grabbed the kettle, filled a cup. I couldn't let them see me break. Not fully. So I smiled faintly, nodded once, and whispered, "Of course." I climbed the stairs, each step heavy, each step slower. The voices below faded into murmurs. Music hummed. Chairs scraped. I reached my room, closed the door softly. The latch clicked. I sat on the bed, tea untouched, hands trembling. Laughter would come soon. Guests arriving. Compliments flowing. And none of it mine. The turkey I seasoned. The pies I baked. The cookies I rolled. All claimed by another. All erased with a smile. I pressed my face into a pillow. Hot tears spilled. Silent sobs shook me. The pillow muffled it. The walls contained it. Downstairs, music grew louder. Voices cheered. "Jessica, this is perfect." Each word stabbed. Each laugh stung. I curled tighter, rocked gently, whispered into the dark. Am I really embarrassing after all I gave, after all I kept alive? 40 years of tradition, gone in one evening. 40 years of love, dismissed with one sentence. Cook, then disappear. That was all I was now. I closed my eyes. The noise below carried on. Joy that excluded me. A holiday without me. For the first time, Christmas felt like exile. And I wondered, would anyone even notice if I stayed gone forever? The clock struck 6. Headlights flashed outside. Doors slammed. Footsteps crunched on snow. Guests arrived. Voices rose. Laughter carried. I sat on the bed, hands folded tight. Tea cold beside me. Music drifted upstairs. Jazz. Not carols. Not tradition. I closed my eyes, listened harder. Every sound sharp. Every laugh painful. The door opened below. Jessica's voice rang bright. "Welcome, welcome, come in, please." Coats rustled. Boots thudded. More voices filled the space. Someone gasped. "Oh, Jessica, the house is stunning. Love the tree, so modern. So elegant." Applause of approval. Her laughter floated up. "Thank you." I wanted it perfect this year. The dining room buzzed. Plates clinked. Chairs scraped. Glasses filled. The first compliments came. "Jessica, this turkey is divine, perfectly seasoned. So tender." She giggled lightly. "Oh, I learned from my mother-in-law." But I updated it, made it more current. Laughter followed. Chatter, too. I pressed my hand against my chest, my heart heavy. Every bite they praised, every dish I made, claimed as hers. More voices echoed. "The pies are incredible. The apple tastes homemade, Jessica. How do you do it all?" Her answer sharp but sugar-coated. "Oh, I just love baking. Keeps me grounded." Another laugh. Another lie. I bit my lip. Tears welled. The pumpkin pie. My mother's recipe. The pecan pie. Charles's favorite. The apple. David's childhood request. All mine. All erased. Footsteps above me creaked. David's voice carried faint, low, uncertain. A guest asked, "David, how lucky you are." "Jessica's such a hostess." He chuckled nervously. "Yes, she worked hard. No correction, no defense." Silence followed upstairs. My silence. His silence. The laughter roared again. Games began. Christmas trivia. Stories shared. Jessica's voice rang loud, dominant, confident. She told stories, made jokes, owned the spotlight, while I sat in the dark, invisible, forgotten. I stared at the window. Snowflakes drifted. Streetlights glowed. Other houses shone with warmth. Children squealed outside. Families gathered inside. And here I sat, in my own house, banished, hidden, silent. I opened my drawer, pulled out the old angel ornament, the one Jessica had boxed, the one from my mother. I held it tight, pressed it to my heart, whispered softly, "You still belong here, even if I don't." Below, music changed. Voices sang lightly. Not carols, pop songs. I remembered Christmas long ago. David singing off key, Charles clapping along. Our house filled with joy. Now the joy was foreign, cold, borrowed. I rocked slowly, alone with memories, alone with silence. Hours passed. Applause rose downstairs. Someone toasted. To Jessica for a perfect Christmas. Cheers erupted. Glasses clinked. Laughter shook the ceiling. I shut my eyes. The tears unstoppable, rolling hot, soaking my pillow. Invisible, erased, unwanted. Christmas was supposed to heal. Christmas was supposed to unite. But tonight, it only divided. I whispered into the dark. "Charles, what would you say? Would you tell me to fight or to endure?" No answer came. Only silence. Only my own sobs. I curled tighter, held the angel ornament, listened to the joy below, a joy I created, but was never allowed to share. And I wondered, was this the last Christmas I would ever host? The clock read 8. Laughter still roared below. Music thumped. Glasses clinked. I sat in darkness, the angel ornament in hand. My tears dried, but my heart hollow. Then the doorbell rang. 3 sharp chimes. Voices shifted downstairs. A pause. Then Jessica's heels clicked. Her voice rose cheerful. "Eleanor, Merry Christmas." What a surprise. I froze. Mrs. Patterson, my neighbor, my friend. I leaned closer to the door, listened hard. Eleanor's voice rang firm. "I baked mince pie. Christmas won't be Christmas without sharing." Jessica chuckled uneasy. "Oh, that's sweet. But Margaret isn't feeling well. She's resting upstairs." Silence followed. Not long, not gentle. Eleanor spoke again, her tone sharp. "I've known Maggie 30 years. She never missed a Christmas. I will see her." Jessica stammered. "Really, it's not." But Eleanor cut her off. "No excuses. Either I see her or I leave now. And take this pie with me." Footsteps climbed the stairs. Slow, certain. My breath caught. The knob turned. The door opened. There stood Eleanor. Her hair silver, her eyes fierce, a pie tin in her hands. "Maggie," she said softly. Her face fell. She saw my tears. She set the pie down, took my hands. Tell me, what did they do to you? I shook my head. Words stuck. My throat closed. But the pain spilled anyway. They told me to cook, then vanish. Said I embarrassed them. My own son agreed. Her grip tightened. Her jaw set. No. No one erases you. Not in your home. Not after all you gave. Her voice cracked like thunder. You're coming downstairs. With me. I gasped. Shook my head quickly. No, Eleanor. Please. They don't want me there. Her eyes burned. I don't care what they want. This is your house. Your Christmas. Your legacy. She pulled me up. My legs weak. My heart racing. Stand tall, Maggie. Tonight they will see you. The hallway stretched long. Each step heavy. My chest pounded. Below, laughter continued. Guests unaware. Jessica's voice floated high. Bright. Confident. Eleanor held my arm. Guided me steady. Her presence a shield. We reached the stairs. Voices grew louder. Music clearer. The party in full swing. We paused at the landing. I hesitated. Shook my head again. I can't. Eleanor whispered firmly. Yes, you can. You must. They need to see. You need to be seen. I drew a shaky breath, nodded once. Together, we stepped down. The room fell silent. Glasses lowered. Chatter cut short. Eyes turned. Every head swiveled. There I stood, at Eleanor's side, my hair messy, my face streaked with tears. Jessica froze mid-sentence. Her smile faltered, her eyes wide. David's jaw dropped. He half rose from his chair. Mom! Eleanor's voice rang out, strong, clear, unshakable. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Margaret Sullivan, the woman who owns this home, the woman who cooked every dish tonight. The heart of Christmas in Cedar Falls for 40 years. Gasps spread. Guests looked at one another, confused, embarrassed. One whispered, "Wait, she made all this." Another frowned. Jessica said. Jessica stammered. Words caught. Color drained from her face. She forced a laugh. "Oh, I helped too, of course." But her voice shook. Her hands trembled. The silence that followed was louder than any laughter. All eyes on me. The invisible woman, now undeniable. My cheeks burned. My heart pounded. I wanted to run, to hide again. But Eleanor squeezed my hand, held me firm. So I lifted my chin, met every gaze, and whispered softly, "Yes, yes, I cooked it all." Because Christmas deserves love, not erasure. The room stayed still. No one spoke. Then a man cleared his throat. A guest near the table. "Well, Mrs. Sullivan, these are the best pies I've ever tasted." Laughter nervous. Applause tentative, but real. And for the first time that night, I felt seen. The room stayed frozen. Eyes on me. Whispers darting. Jessica fidgeted. Her smile cracked. Her hands restless. David sat stiff, silent, ashamed. Eleanor stood tall beside me. Her voice firm. Respect must be given where it is due. Then a man's voice rose. Deep. Curious. "Excuse me?" he said. He stepped closer. A tall figure. Gray suit. confident air. I recognized him faintly. Jessica's boss, Mr. Alan Whitaker. He pointed toward the wall, toward an old photo frame. "Is this you?" he asked. My breath caught. The photo showed me, younger, wearing a chef's coat, standing beside a banquet table. "Yes," I whispered. That was me. Whitaker's eyes lit. "I knew it, you're Margaret Sullivan, head chef at the Grand Oak. I ate there 20 years ago. Your turkey, it was legendary." Gasps filled the room. Guests turned wide-eyed. Jessica stammered, "No, that can't. She never. David, is this true?" David swallowed hard, his voice low. "Yes, Cess. Before she married Dad, Mom was a chef. One of the best." The crowd buzzed louder. Shock. Admiration. Whitaker stepped closer. "Mrs. Sullivan, your cranberry sauce tonight, I swear it tastes the same." The same recipe I remembered all these years. I nodded softly. "It is the same. My mother taught me." I carried it everywhere. Applause broke out. Spontaneous. Genuine. I glanced at Jessica. Her cheeks red. Her eyes darted. Her lips pressed tight. She opened her mouth. Of course, I never meant to take credit. I only wanted. But her words drowned. Guests murmured. Eyes cold. Respect shifting. Not to her. To me. Eleanor raised her chin. She declared proudly, "This woman kept tradition alive. Through loss. Through hardship. Through silence. And tonight you all taste her devotion." More applause followed. Guests clapped. Some even stood. One woman leaned in. "Mrs. Sullivan, would you share your cookie recipe?" Another chimed. "Your pies remind me of my grandmother's." So comforting. My eyes watered. For the first time in years, I felt valued, seen, honored. Jessica shrank in her chair, her phone untouched, her smile gone. David stared at me. His eyes glistened. Regret plain, but words stuck in his throat. I looked at him, waited, hoped, but he stayed silent. Whitaker raised his glass. "Ladies and gentlemen, to Margaret Sullivan, the true heart of this home, the chef behind tonight's feast, the spirit of Christmas itself." Cheers erupted. Glasses clinked. Voices united. To Margaret. My heart swelled. Tears spilled. Not of sorrow, of recognition. I stood taller, looked around the room. Faces warm, eyes kind. And I thought to myself, I am not invisible. Not anymore. Jessica had tried. David had failed me. But truth still rose. Truth always finds a way. And tonight it belonged to me. The cheer still echoed. Glasses clinked. Voices bright. Margaret to Margaret. I stood steady, heart racing, hands trembling. Jessica sat stiff, her face pale, her lips pressed tight. She tried to smile, but her eyes betrayed her. Wide, uneasy, cornered. Alan Whitaker turned, his gaze sharp. "Jessica," he said evenly, "you didn't mention your mother-in-law's legacy." Jessica stammered, "Oh, I thought I didn't want to burden anyone." Alan's brow rose. "Burden her food has carried this entire evening. It carried my memory for 20 years. His words cut. The guests murmured. Some nodded. Some frowned at Jessica. David shifted. His chair scraped. He stood slowly, eyes on me. "Mom," he whispered. His voice cracked. "I'm sorry. I should have defended you. I was weak." The room hushed. All ears leaned closer. He swallowed hard. "I let Jessica's fears guide me. I let her silence you. But you are the reason I am who I am." Tears welled in his eyes. "I failed you tonight." My chest tightened. My throat burned. I wanted to speak, but emotion caught first. Finally, I managed. "David, all I ever wanted was respect. Not applause. Not fame. Just respect." The room stilled again. Even Jessica looked away. Eleanor stepped forward, her voice loud. "Respect is earned. And Maggie earned it 100 times over." She looked around the room, eyes firm. "Don't forget who labored, who kept this table alive, who carried tradition alone. She deserves more than silence." The guests murmured agreement. Heads nodded. Glances shifted back to me. One young woman spoke up. "Mrs. Sullivan, your pecan pie, it's the best I've ever had. Would you teach me sometime?" Another man added quickly, "Please write a book. We'd buy it in a second." Laughter rippled, warm, genuine. For the first time in years, I laughed too. But Jessica's chair scraped. She rose abruptly. I need a moment." She darted toward the hallway, her heels sharp on tile. Whispers followed her. Eyes followed too. Alan sighed heavily, shook his head. Presentation is nothing without substance. The words landed heavy. Everyone understood. Everyone looked back at me. David stepped closer. He placed a hand on my shoulder. His voice low. "Mom, I don't deserve forgiveness, but I ask anyway." Tears pricked my eyes. I squeezed his hand. "We will talk later, David. But tonight, I will not vanish again." He nodded quickly, eyes red, face flushed with shame. Guests gathered near, asking recipes, sharing stories, listening to mine. I told them little pieces. The nights at the Grand Oak, the holidays with Charles, the way David used to help. Their smiles grew, their laughter warm. The air shifted, no longer cold, no longer hollow. Christmas felt real again. But in the corner, the empty chair remained. Jessica's absence loud, her silence louder. And I knew her night of triumph had turned into a night of humiliation. Not mine, hers. I lifted my glass, hand steadier now, voice firm. "Thank you, everyone. Christmas is about family. And tonight I finally feel surrounded by one again." Applause broke out. Cheers followed. The room glowed. Hearts lifted. Except one, hiding behind a closed door. The night grew quiet. Laughter softened. Guests settled. David stayed near me, his hand never far, as if afraid I might vanish again. Then footsteps echoed. Slow, uneasy. Jessica reappeared, her eyes swollen, her face pale. She stopped near the tree, the silver star above her. Her voice low. "Mrs. Sullivan, I owe you an apology. I was wrong. I let pride blind me. I feared judgment, and I hurt you instead." The room hushed, all eyes on us. David shifted nervously. Guests leaned closer. I took a breath, my heart heavy, but my voice steady. "Jessica," I said, Fear is human, but erasing someone else to hide your own is cruelty. Her eyes filled again. I see that now. Please forgive me. I paused long, looked around the room. Faces waiting, hearts listening. Then I spoke. Forgiveness is possible, but respect is required. This house is not for vanity. It is for family, for love, for truth. The words settled deep. Some guests nodded. Others wiped tears. Jessica whispered, I understand. I stepped closer, placed a hand on her arm. Christmas is not polished tables, not perfect photos. It is presence. It is tradition. It is people. Her lips trembled. She nodded once. David exhaled. His shoulders eased. Later, guests departed. Coats gathered. Goodbyes exchanged. Many shook my hand. Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. You reminded me of my grandmother. Your food touched us all. Warmth filled me. Not pride, but peace. When the last door closed, I stood alone again. Tree glowing softly. Candles flickering. David and Jessica lingered, silent, reflective. I touched the angel ornament, the one nearly hidden away. Still here, I whispered. To guide me. I thought then of every elder unseen, every voice silenced, every heart dismissed. And I vowed, never again, not in my home, not in my life. So I turn to you watching my story. Family can wound deeply, but truth will always rise. Respect cannot be erased. Tradition carries power. If you have ever felt invisible, remember this: your value is not measured by someone else's fear. It is measured by the love you gave and the strength you keep. Christmas ended different this year. Not polished, not flawless, but real. And real is enough. Family can hurt you, but truth always shines. Respect is the gift that must never be withheld. If this story touched you, share your thoughts below. Tell me, have you ever felt invisible? Your story may inspire another. And don't forget, subscribe for more true stories. Because every voice matters, especially yours.